शंख बजे घंटा बजे बाजे गसाला बाजे बाजे बाजुरा बाज परम रसाला मधु बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे बाजे घंटा बाजे शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे शंख माधुर 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 बाजे नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल बादन उज्ज्वल कि वो बाहु चंद्राशिनी गाला देश बाना माला कोरे जलमाला माला माला शिव शिवा सुख नारदा प्रेम गददा हरा सुख नारदा काकती विनोदा देखे गायन संपादा गौरांगेरा राति को शोभा त्याग जन माना लगा गौरांगेरा राति को शोभा त्याग जन माना लगा गौरांगेरा राति को शोभा त्याग जन माना लगा त्याग जन माना लगा नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा हरे रामा Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Pushpat Parhamsa Rajaracharya Ashwata Shishmat Bhaktivedanta Swami Sharupad ki Jai Om Vishnupat Parhamsa Rajaracharya Ashwata Shishmat Bhaktivedanta Swami Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Sharupad ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Namachar Shahidas Thakur ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री सादि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की मथुरा धाम की वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुर धाम की यमुनामाई की तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की बृहद मृदंग की गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल और कोई समुद्र हरे कृष्ण और कोई समुद्र हरे कृष्ण श्री Namaste Narashingaya Praladala Dadaine Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. On behalf of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, we welcome you all to our Sunday Feast program here at Sri Sri Kishore Kishori Temple. Thank you all for coming. Before we start our program, anybody who's come for the first time? I think all of you here, first time. Can you please raise your hands? We have a small gift for you. So this nice boy will come and give you a gift. So please do come every time. And we have this function every Sunday, which starts at 5 and ends at 8 with nice Indian food. So definitely please do come. Shri Shri Kishore Kishori Bhagwan ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maan ji ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitaya ki jai, Sudarshan Chakra ki jai. Alright, before we start the program, a few things. There are a couple of sponsors today. We have Geeta Krishnan. She is a very, very regular sponsor. She sponsors our Sunday feast very regularly. Thank you for that. We have family of Sally Agarwal, who left her body on Wednesday night, which is basically, now Sally Agarwal has a very special place in the history of ISKCON. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, when he first time landed here in US, he stayed at their house. So she has a very special place in the heart of Prabhupada and even in the heart of all the devotees of ISKCON. And her passing away was on Wednesday. So we would request every devotee here to pray for her for our onward journey. We also have sponsors for Kanchan Sharma. She also is, Jaya. So she is sponsoring for our mother, Kanchan Sharma. And we seek prayers for her as well. Also, we have Prem Sarovar Prabhu and Shruti Priya Mataji. They are sponsoring the Sunday feast for Pitru Paksha for Sri Madan Mohan Datta, Shriti Datta, Amita Rani Datta, and Sri Dinesh Kamarkar. So we will all one time very loudly chant the holy names as a request to the Lord for prayers to all of these wonderful devotees who sponsored the feast. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you once again. So any sponsors who are here, please do see me after the class. I have small gifts for you. Also, the Sunday school program is on. If any kids who are here 12 and under, if they want to get engaged while the class is going on, in the basement we have Sunday school going on. So please do enroll your kids for that. And for today's class, we have His Grace Subal Prabhu. We will welcome him with a very, very warm and loud Hari Bol. Hari Bol! So he needs no introduction. He's a wonderful devotee. Everybody knows Subal Prabhu. He is the star of Sri Sri Kishore Kishori Temple. So, and he's going to talk about service in today's pluralistic society. Very practical topic, I believe. So we will all face this way. And please keep your mobiles on silent. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Gopijana Balava Giribharadari Jaya Gopijana Balava Giribharadari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Shishi Radha Madhava ki jai, Shishi Kishore Kishori ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Premanandi. So, it's very nice to be with everybody. And I like to talk about things that are very applicable to our reality, to my reality, and I think about something that could be very relevant to all of you, and I hope this subject matter will be. Before starting, I'd like to just say a very short note on Mrs. Sally Agarwal. Two of us, two devotees, we went to her funeral representing ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada. On the request of the family, on her desire too, because throughout, from the very first time that this very, very pious lady met Srila Prabhupada, she gave her heart. So Prabhupada was able to touch her heart and remain in her heart throughout her life. And so we were very honored to be part of that. And it's a wonderful, it's a wonderful example of how just a moment of association, the scriptures tell us, a moment of association with a pure devotee of the Lord can completely change your life. And we feel very sure that the soul of Sally Agarwal is close to Prabhupada. And we want to pray and encourage you to all, remember her. She's part of our history as we learn about Krishna consciousness and read about the Leela of Srila Prabhupada, how each one of these personalities, they play a very important role, and they were dear to Srila Prabhupada. So I think that also brings us, all of us, that come to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, and we, to the best of our abilities, are trying to serve him. And for sure, Prabhupada has touched all of our hearts. So, so we're here also coming to that hope of when we leave our bodies, We come close to Srila Prabhupada and serve him further. So, I choose this topic. We have the theme of this month is about service to the devotees. And specifically, I want to speak of something that we find that is such a challenge, not only in the society, spiritual society, the societies of devotees, but also in society in general, in the world, which is how to manage, how to navigate a pluralistic society. And we're talking about pluralistic societies when there's so many diverse ways of seeing the world, so many diverse ways of processing, so many diversity in general, it becomes very challenging because the natural propensity is that we tend to sort of gravitate towards those who are like-minded. We have that say that is, birds of the same feather flock together. So when we're confronted with differences, to navigate difference is always very challenging. So in the scriptures, in the Vedic scriptures, especially the Bhakti Shastras, we are explaining that service is the most essential characteristic of the soul. In the Bhagavatam, in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Srila Sutta Goswami presents this answer to the sages of Naimisharanya when addressing this particular question of what is the most essential quality. What is that, the essence of all teachings by which, when people of this world are situated in that place, they will be fully satisfied? And then Srila Sutta Goswami presented this answer, Sabai Punsam, for all the people of the world. Sabai Punsam, Paradharma. So he says, he presented this word dharma. And we know this word dharma is often translated as religion, as occupation, sometimes duty. But when he uses the word param dharma, Srila Sutta Goswami refers to something even much more deeper, that in reality doesn't fully, is not fully described by the term religions or occupation of duty. But he refers to dharma as something that is so essential, is part of the essence of the living entity. So the whole thing of this answer that Sutta Goswami gave, that Sabaim Punsam Parodharmo Jato Bhakti Radokshaye, that the living entity, when it's situated in this param dharma, is fully satisfied. So what is this param dharma? In other words, what is this most essential thing? Srila Sutta Goswami explained that is loving service to the personality of Godhead. Service. Prabhupada explains in this way. Can you read it? Maybe we can turn the light a little bit. So, it's better? So, Prabhupada says, Dharma means some particular characteristic that you cannot change. Dharma you cannot change in whichever condition you are. You have to follow the special characteristic. And that I have already explained. That a special characteristic is that every living entity is engaged in service for others. Every living entity, human being, birds, beasts, animals, every living entity is giving service to somebody else. That is dharma. So, when Prabhupada described or give us the explanation of what Sutta Goswami is describing as this most essential quality, characteristic. He defined it as service. So service is what defines us. Service is our identity. Prabhupada goes further and explains this in a lecture in San Francisco, 1975. He says, "We're eternal servants of God. This is our dharma, or constitutional position." And then he explained this is one of the analogies that he uses that give us a very graphic understanding of this essential quality or characteristic. He says, just like sugar is sweet, that is the taste. If sugar is salty, although both of them looks the same, white powder, but if I give you sugar, and if it's actually salt, then immediately you say, oh, this is not sugar. This is not sugar. How? By taste. So, the essential quality of sugar is sweetness. If it's not sweet, it's just not sugar. So, Prabhupada uses this analogy to say that the essential quality of the living entity is service. That's our identity. That's our special characteristic. He goes further. Similarly, everything has got his constitutional position to serve. That is the constitutional position. Every one of us, we're serving. Without service, we have no other business. So, this is our constitutional position. But we're serving wrongly. Therefore, we're not satisfied. This is the position. So, when we unpack this, what Prabhupada said, service is what we do. Every one of us, every person here is serving someone. And suppose you're a loner, you have no one to serve. You usually find a little pet, an animal, a dog, a cat. You know, sometimes we hear of these loners, persons that have some mental difficulties and they keep cats and things like that, some pets and things. You find something. It's that propensity is needed, is there. So, when that propensity is not used for the purpose of lovingly connecting with God, then it's wrongly used. And therefore, we find no satisfaction. So, the place of satisfaction for us in that propensity that is part of our nature is just to serve God, lovingly serve God. Srila Prabhupada continues. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore begins his philosophy from this point, that Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nitya Das, or Nitya Krishna Das. So, that the nature of the living entity, he says here, quote, the real constitutional position of the living entity is to serve Krishna. That is a constitutional position. So, this loving service that we hear when we come to Krishna consciousness and we hear the philosophy, we start to hear this amazing, beautiful world in which this pure devotion manifests in pure service to God. And it manifests in different ways. Manifests with a conjugal relationship with God. Meaning that there's this very intimacy of relationship in serving God with the gopis. He also manifests in a parental relationship. The devotee serves Krishna with the love of a parent. It manifests in the form of friendship and servitorship. devotees are equal, or they look Krishna as their superior and they serve him in that way. You also manifest in a neutral way. So we have all these different living entities that have beautiful relationship with Krishna, parrots, cows, peacocks, all these different entities, forms, spiritual forms. So when we come to Krishna consciousness, we hear of this world, this transcendental world, in which there's all this diversity, but they're all unified. They're all perfectly unified in this common activity, which is to please and to serve with love, pure love, the personality of Godhead. A love that Sutta Goswami described and qualified as ahaituki apratiyata, that is uninterrupted and unmotivated. A beautiful word, and there's no conflict. Although there's diversity, also there's pluralism. There's so many different forms, there's so many different levels of intimacy. Some have a female form, some have a male form, some have animal forms, some have tree forms, and they all together with one purpose, in perfect harmony. So when we hear of this culture, a culture that is beyond the anxieties that create this world, that we have in this world, that we have a world that is full of conflict. And when we listen to this, hey, come to Krishna consciousness and be happy. Come, join this society, Krishna conscious society. Srila Prabhupada named his institution as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, in which these ideals, we hear about these ideals, and they're very inspiring. And when we hear about these ideals, here's a picture of all these different rasas or different relationships with Krishna all together. You see on this side the gopis and the parents of Krishna, and the boys are over there in the back, and then the animals, they're all in harmony. So we like to be part of that. It's inspiring. So we jump in the boat. Yes, I want to be part of this. It's an alternative. It's an alternative to a world full of conflict. A world that people are so caught in differences that they cannot be together. We see that even in families, not just, in communities and societies and countries. There's so much conflict and divisions. We find that in the world, some studies say that there's these 5 causes of conflict in pluralistic society, because this is a reality of now that this modern society, modern world has bring to us. With the advances of technology, basically in globalization of cultures, then we have to live in a world that is pluralistic. We have to manage these differences. And in pluralistic society, some studies has given us 5 causes of conflict. And the first one is value conflicts. This is what we find in the world. Right now, this country is a perfect example of value conflicts. We have liberals, and we have what's the other? Conservatives and liberals, right? The liberals, the liberals, they embrace these values of equality, of justice, of equal treatment, all these things, fairness. Conservatives, they embrace the values of commitment, of obedience, of purity. So these are all important values for human society in both sides. And it's not that either side they don't want the other values, but they give preferences to a particular set of values. For a particular group of people, there are some values that are more important than others. There's priority of values. And therefore, it creates, when people focus on these, my values, you breaking, and then we have all these divisions and conflicts. The next one is relationship conflicts. We experience that very much in terms of people misunderstandings, and there's different natures of people. We in a community trying to connect with others, but then we find out that we don't necessarily have the same process or the same way of seeing the same thing. Even sometimes we have, we experience sometimes in our marriage, that you find out very soon after going through the period of everything is like rainbows and butterflies and birds and things like that. The beautiful part of, now we found each other. That when we start to see, actually we're very different. We have different ways of seeing. And then, start to get the arguments, sometimes, different levels and intensity in disagreements. We have these things that they say, man are from Mars and women are from Venus, It's like two different planets. So, relationship conflicts. It's a real thing. And data conflicts. These are conflicts of information. Sometimes people have certain amount of information that are not available to other people. And this is important information. So there is not equality. There is something that is, that it may be required for people to actually function, but it's just being managed according to certain decisions that are there. We have interest conflict. Some things that I want, someone else's have, on something that I have, someone else's want. So there's an interest conflict, so there's resources that we may need. I need these resources, but I need those resources too. So we have certain interests, and those interests brings conflict. Structural conflicts. We see that also, especially, say, in this country, that there's certain structures, governance structures that favor certain group of people and not the others. So sometimes these things, the structure is not necessarily egalitarian, it's something that it depends, of even this idea of communism. That is the idea that everybody's equal. But that's just on the paper, because it's not. Then you have, the oligarchs, say in Russia. You have people that are really having a hard time, but you have others that have so much money that they don't know what to do with it. So there's differences. And those organizational those structures also bring conflict. So there's conflicts on this area. So these are 5 things. So when we come to Krishna consciousness, then, this is an alternative to this world. This is an alternative to a world that is full of conflict, that all these things are there. People, we come into a space in which, people like me, we're searching for this alternative, a place in which we can actually be connected with this one transcendental activity of serving God with love, with pure love. And as such, we're together. We're together in that activity. And the ideals of being a community, a Krishna conscious community that is fully focused on this. And in general, when we come first to Krishna consciousness, we see all the devotees there like these effulgent beings, that are so wonderful. Oh, what a good quality. Oh, how inspiring. I really want to be like these people. I'm jumping in this boat. And after 2 years, things start to change. We start to figure it out. Oh my God. The same things that are in the material world, we find it also in the community of devotees. What's going on here? Because there's pluralism. We find in that there's all these different things that are afflicting, that are causing conflict in the material world. Out there, it's the same things that we're confronting here in the temple, in the community of devotees. So we have to see that when we come to Krishna consciousness, each one of us, we bring our own baggage. It's not that we come, yes, I'm joined Krishna consciousness and poof, all my past activities and conditioning is gone. And then now I'm a Vaikuntha person. I'm a transcendental being, fully realized. No. I'm come to Krishna consciousness, but I bring my baggage with me. Because I'm still conditioned. So what is this baggage? We have to understand the things, and that's with every one of us. There's something that we bring. And in general, we bring cultural diversity. We come from so many different backgrounds, especially when we are in a place as diverse culturally as the city of Chicago. So, even in India, we say, oh yes, Indian people, like that. No. India is as diverse as the world itself. I mean, how many different languages and cultures and traditions just in the continent of India are. It's very diverse. Very diverse. So we bring this cultural diversity that through that type of conditioning, that's how we experience and process the world. There's also different ones of us. We come to Krishna consciousness with different training. There's some of us that actually, some of us has taken birth in family of devotees and grew up in families of devotees. So, you have exposure to Krishna consciousness throughout your life. Some of us, have absolutely no idea of anything. Some of us, have maybe practice other traditions very, very carefully, yoga or things like that. So there's different levels of training. that we have as we come together in Krishna consciousness. We have levels of spiritual progress. Some have, time practicing or experiences like that. So you have a whole society with all different levels. Purva Sankaras. What does this mean, Purva Samskaras? Means, the impressions that we bring from other lives, from our past life. There are things that we bring with us, propensities, mentalities, the way we think comes from, that from previous life. We also bring that. And with that, the conditioning that we have in this present life by this present body. So the way this body, the Bhagavad Gita tells, the body forces to actually think and act in certain way. So conditioning that we have with this body. Socioeconomic status is a reality. The type of life you live in terms of, the facilities that you have in this life, in terms of education, in terms of wealth, or anything like that. So these are realities that are there that comes with, in different levels with all of us. Our intellectual capacity is another. Choice of friends, this is something that sometimes we encounter. I can ask each one of you who have been part of, our Sangha of devotees, our community of devotees, that we find out that the people that we used to hang, our regular friends before joining Krishna consciousness, in the material world, how similar are them to the people, the devotees that we hang out right now. Sometimes we find that out, that the devotees that I have as my close associates are very different to the people that I used to associate when I was in the material world. Like myself, I grew up in an environment that was very much focused on, my friends were mostly artists, musicians, film makers, dancers, all that, just performing arts. So that was the people that I hang with. And right now, many of my friends are business people, are IT people, and those are the people that I never used to hang out with them before, like that. So these things that we bring, and we bring habits too, particular habits. So we bring all these different types of things that are part of our being, our makeup, that have to do with the identities that we form with this body. So these identities are called upadhis. And in, common language, it's just mental models. We create all these mental models that are made up of all these different identity baggage that we have. And then through that mental model, then it's like a funnel, and that's how we see the world. That's how we experience the world. Through that. That's how we process and experience the world. And it's real for each one of us. It's real. So there is this very funny comic strip. So if you see, the rhino here is painting, it's an artistic rhino, so he paints, he does his painting, but as you notice, then each one of his paints, there is a horn, because as he looks at the world, the first thing that he sees is his horn. So that's how, he experienced the world. So we see the world as we are, basically. So we create a particular reality, and that's is how we experience. It's real for us. It's real for each one of us. And when we're conditioned, we cannot do anything about it. It's the way it is. It's how this body perceives things. You can't just erase it like that. So we create this way, this perception, and there's something that happens when we create this perception and in this way that we see the world, is that we fully understand and believe that we're right. I'm right. What else? How can you not see? How can you not see it like this type of thing? There's this understanding that I am right. So we make assumptions. Assumptions is based on these perceptions of the world. And these assumptions are the main cause of conflict, both in ISKCON, in our society of devotees, and in the world. So when we come to serve devotees, when we come to serve each other, to relate to each other, we have to be very much aware of these assumptions that are based on that mental model, that funnel that we have in which we perceive the world. One devotee friend was telling me this story that, we constantly making assumptions. It's a way to almost navigate the world, a pluralistic world, a world of differences. And we tend to do these things, I see something and I have these good intentions of connecting and serving. So, I want to make someone happy. So I want to say something nice to someone. I want to acknowledge someone else's, situation. And I want to show that I'm being very thoughtful and, so I make certain assumptions. So this devotee was telling me that sometimes he saw this Mataji that he haven't seen him for many years. And then he tells that Mataji, "Oh, how wonderful, congratulations." And then the Mataji say, "Oh, for what? Congratulations." So it was something like this. So, "Congratulations," he said the lady. And then, "For what?" "Well, when did you expecting?" And then the lady say, "No, I'm not pregnant." So, quack, 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 quack. The devotee, oops, like that. So, we make assumptions, and sometimes it's assumptions, sometimes it's the way we see the world, sometimes the intentions that we have when we make assumptions are not accurate. In fact, it is said that most of the time our assumptions are inaccurate. Most of the time. Most of the time. Most of the time the way we profile things are not accurate. Why is that? Because, again, remember that mental model, we see in a reality from here, from my perspective, and I cannot really understand it from your perspective. So I make assumptions, and that creates a lot of vulnerability for conflicts. And we see that in the scriptures. We see that with Maharaj Parikshit, powerful, wonderful devotee, wonderful, powerful, pure devotee, a king, a protector. And somehow or other, a whole series of assumptions, of wrong assumptions, created a whole, consequences, whole line of consequences that caused at the end, the death of the king, the entrance of Kali Yuga, all these different things, the end of Brahminical culture, all these different things by a whole series of wrong assumptions. Of course, we know from the Bhagavatam that this is orchestrated from Lord Krishna, to give us a Srimad Bhagavatam. So at the end, this is a wonderful thing that happens. But the thing is all these different wrong assumptions. So the first one, King Parikshit, he was thirsty. He sees the sage, Shanaka Rishi. He is sitting in his cottage. He comes to the cottage and requests the sage for water. But the sage was so deep in meditation that he was not aware of anything externally. So he didn't respond. So the king became insulted. Oh, he's ignoring me. That assumption. Then the king takes a snake, dead snake, puts it in the neck of the sage, and goes away. So he was offended and he got angry and he did something. There was an action. The boy comes, the son of Shanika Rishi, Shringi, Brahmin boy, who with the power, rabbinical powers, sees the offense that was committed to his father, becomes very angry, and makes the assumption that this king have to be punished. And then curse the king. So the king is to die in 7 days. So all these assumptions created all these catastrophic situations. So assumptions is such a big thing. So like a rule that we can have in terms, this is common sense, that in general, and especially with dealing with devotees, we can assume good intentions. We can start with that. Let's assume good intentions. We start with that. Someone will say, give the benefit of the doubt. So assume good intentions. But we also find that these good intentions sometimes have also very catastrophic effects. So good intentions is not enough. So I'm going to show you a clip. Now, it's a short film. It's a French filmmaker. And I hope you can read the subtitles. It's in French, but they have subtitles. But, in case, it's going to more or less describe all these different things. How, first of all, how we function in the world. We basically perceive the world, create a picture of the world, process it, and then have a way that, yes, this is the way the world is. And then I haven't figured it out. I figured it out. I know it's right. It works. So we all have, or, in general, we all have this propensity of, I see it, I figured it out, and it's right, So I navigate the world like that. So we have this character who is going to take a train, and he's going to his destination. He does it every day. It's his, you can see, it's his regular routine, and he's just, how you say, commuting in the train by, to go to his work. How many of you, commute by train to go to your work, so many of us do that. So that's what he did. But then when he comes into the train, he finds out that, oops, no, something changed. And what happened when we are confronted with something that completely knocked down our reality? we become confused. And wait a minute, no, this cannot be. So there's this sense of, panic. What happened? Something is challenging my reality. And that cannot be. So then all these different, things happen to this fellow. And at the end, and then there's people observing the situation, like, oh, what's going to happen here? So sometimes we're witness of these conflicts between two, and then, oh my God, who's right, who's not, and then we take sides and things like that. So, get the sound? Turn the light a little bit. So, this, yeah, and then get. Can you read it? Okay. Confusion now. Now the guy is completely panicked.
化和正向保持一起闭嘴唱歌。
So, good intentions. So you see all these different things. You can turn the light a little. All these different things played up that, there's a good intention of the fellow. You see his face. I did something so good. I rescued this guy. And, pulling in, he doesn't miss the train. But at the end, it was a disaster for this poor fellow. So how many times we experience that in our community, in our relationship with devotees, So Prabhupada tells us that as a devotee, we have to be very thoughtful. And not like the non-devotees are speculative. So basically, you're always speculating. The non-devotee mentality is always speculating. So many of these assumptions that we have, this propensity, is just a speculation. We really don't have it clear. How can we have enter into the mind in the process of someone else who have a whole different set of conditioning? I know. Can I take 10 more minutes? Yeah? I have another clip that tells us about this because people send me these clips and they're very educative, from the real life. But this is something that is being discovered, right, in the regular words, psychological and social, studies come to understand the things that the solution for all these different things that, or the way we deal with each other is that we have to talk, we have to ask questions. It's not, just the way for me to be able to understand where you're coming from is by asking questions. So this is a very short one. Also, turn the light and then put the sound. And then check this one out. Also, that have a very nice lesson. So not necessarily encourage people to watch TV, but this is, Assumption.
No, Rupert, guys are underestimating my Carl. And for years, I never understood why he used to live high. Then one day, I was driving my little boy to school, and I saw this quote by Walt Whitman painted on the wall that said, "Be curious, not judgmental."
Be curious, not judgmental.
So I get back in my car, I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden it hits me. All these fellas used to belittle me. I'm single one of them, curious. You know, they thought they had everything all figured out, so they judged everything. They judged everyone. And I realized that they're underestimating me. Who I was had nothing to do with it. But if they were curious, they would ask questions. Questions like, have you played a lot of darts, Ted? And I would have answered, yes, sir. Every Sunday afternoon at the sports bar with my father, from age 10 to I was 16, he passed away. Fuck yourselves.
So, ask questions. Ask questions. The lessons that we have, and we can conclude with that. And yeah, mute that then. When we find ourselves making assumptions, be curious. This is, the lesson. Instead of making a judgment, ask. Talk. Talk to each other. We can talk to each other. We can find out, I'm curious, why did you did what you did? Just, to try to understand where is the other person coming from. So one thing that we can see is that we don't assume that my intention matches the impact that I have in someone else. So I'm aware of my intentions and I'm aware of the impact that someone else's actions does in me, but I'm not aware of someone else's intention and the impact that I have on someone else with my actions. So we have to talk, we have to connect, we have to ask, we have to be curious. That's an important element. And also, we have to understand that not always we're right. Remember that we're seeing a particular type of, we're seeing reality in a particular way, and although we're seeing the same thing or we're connecting like that, there's two different perspectives. Sometimes things is a matter of perspective. The person that is looking at the boat is thinking, oh, finally, there's a boat that can take me out of this island. But the person who is in the boat saying, oh, finally, it's land, I can get out of the ocean, this material, the situation. So we have to talk to each other. And when we start to understand that although we're different, it's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to have differences. And the key word for that is coexistence. We have to coexist. We have to come together and try to understand each other. Try to understand that not necessarily I have the monopoly of the absolute truth. That actually my experience also can coexist with an experience that is different than mine when we learn to connect with each other. Prabhupada highlight this with the past tense of, when the sons of King Prachinivarit, there's a past tense that they perform all these austerities and devotional service together. And then Lord Vishnu tells them, my dear sons of the king, I'm very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me. Now, I know I'm over my time, but this is such a beautiful purport that Prabhupada gives on this particular verse in the Bhagavatam that give us, this key of how we can function together in a society of devotees. Since the sons of King Prachinivarat were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of King Prachinivarat was an individual soul, but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. In the material world, such unity is not possible. Even though people may officially unite, they all have different interests. In the United Nations, for instance, all the nations have their particular national ambitions, and consequently, they cannot be united. This unity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning towards material things. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There is only one goal: to serve Krishna to one's best abilities. If there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is to be taken as spiritual. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benediction to his devotees, as indicated in this verse. We can see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benediction to the sons of Prachinivarasa. I have a few more, but I'm going to finish here. That Prabhupada gave us this solution, to come to that stage of being able to be unified. There is a process, the spiritual process, the purification of hearing and chanting together. Sankirtan, coming together and chant, coming together and glorify God, glorify Krishna. And he also gave us the Bhagavatam. To come and listen constantly, every day, the Srimad Bhagavatam is a method by which we can actually overcome that sort of tunnel vision that our conditioning gives us and be able to expand it and being able to navigate the plurality in our society. So in that way, we can together be settled very, very happily and with full satisfaction at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thank you so much, and I hope it was very engaging for all of you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Subal Prabhu, for this very practical, very wonderful presentation. So thank you so much all for waiting. We have our prasadam which has been served upstairs. So out this door on the third floor. Also, please do come back. We have Kirtan starting at 7 to 8. So please do come back for that. Thank you.
That's our province is that.
करेंगे ना? मेरा 7 बजे है, लेकिन गौरव ने बोल रही है ओपनिंग, तो 7 to 7:20 ओपनिंग करनी है।
Your harmonium, okay?
Yeah, so I'll do next week.
Next week. No.
Hey, whatever. Okay, so.
Where's Chaitanya? Oh. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Gauranita, 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 Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Exactly 7 minutes, 7 o'clock, and 5 more minutes till 7 o'clock. Don't go there.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Gauranita, 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 Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Yeah. 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 Who's coming?
Nah, I can't. Nobody else. I mean, I guess you could.
What rhythm are we gonna play?
Probably dance, I think.
What? Which one? Oh. Oh. Hello. Call him. Call him. Call him. What's his name? You are leaving? Oh. No.
Then I'll probably start playing along.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How is the next one? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama രാമ രാമ ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ ഹരേ രാമ 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 ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ 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 ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ 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 ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ 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 ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ രാമ ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ 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 ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ രാമ ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ 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 ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ 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 ഹരേ ഹരേ കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ 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 ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ 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 ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ 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 ഹരേ 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 രാമ 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 ഹരേ 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 കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare किशोर किशोरी की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय
I'll probably ride with you. Sounds good. Ride with you, get a ride with you.
So far, I recorded. I will send it to you.
Thank you so much.
John.